Do you feel overwhelmed sometimes? Do you hate all the evil in the world? I don't know about you, but it's pretty normal to hate this type of stuff. I'm not the biggest fan of Mark Zuckerberg. I'm not the biggest fan of OpenAI or insert big company name here. I don't think anybody really is. On another note, you know how the human brain is very susceptible to negative information? How we have a really keen eye for all of the bad stimuli in the world. This is called negativity bias. This is an evolutionary response which came from learning to focus on dangers to stay safe from predators. It's pretty useful when you're in a prehistoric situation. It's always good to look out for whatever animal is trying to hunt you. And so if you see anything that's out of the ordinary or anything that's negative, it sticks out like a sore thumb. And of course, you would expect big companies to take advantage of this. I want you to look at your recommended. I want you to just observe the types of titles and thumbnails and topics which you see every single day, 24/7, on your phone. Has it been negative? Has it been filled with fear-mongering and doomerism? Most likely, yes. This is probably a fact which has been under your nose your whole life. You probably don't even give it a second thought. But think back to prehistoric times. Were humans constantly in danger? Did they need to be on alert 24/7? No, not always. They had moments of respite. They had moments where they'd be with their community, chilling, eating, celebrating, whatever. But what about you? You probably consume videos and reels and shorts for hours a day. You might like going on walks with YouTube videos in your headphones. Now, think back to how content is going to be promoted, which is negative. So statistically, you watching are going to be exposed to negative content most of the time. Probably every second video is something about digital ID and age verification and government this and government that. And although I agree that the government is pretty fucking bad, I still don't think it's okay to have this playing in your ears 24/7. Think about it. It's kind of like a parasite leeching off of your nutrients, except the nutrients are pure positivity. And you might have some objections too. You might say that people are gonna think that you live under a rock. You might say that you're gonna be uninformed and won't be able to keep up with whatever topics are important these days. Of course, your objections are valid. I do think that one should know what is going on in the world. But I draw a distinction between what we do, we content consumers, and what is actually healthy to do. Because being informed doesn't mean exposing yourself to all the negativity of the world all of the time. Being informed enough to be able to have conversations about the world with other people, and also to not look like an idiot, which for some people might not be a problem, let's be real. Who would want to be appealing to all the NPCs, bro? um, being informed enough for people to understand that you're like a smart person, you're not stupid, you're not completely living under a rock, living under a mountain. You don't actually need to know that much. You don't need to know every law and every new piece of information that comes out whenever. All you really need to do is just pay attention in conversation, hear it from other people perhaps, maybe read like one article a day. I'd say you probably shouldn't do that. But of course, in moderation, I don't think this is a bad thing in life. It's also a thing about values. Because if you value your own happiness above politics, then I think you should really reevaluate what content actually brings you positivity and cut things out, which of course I'm going to show you later in the video. I love this quote a lot, and it goes like this. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You've probably been beaten in the head with this stupid quote all the time, but of course it's pretty valid. And in our day and age, of course, this quote also includes social media because most people spend more time on social media than they actually do speaking to real people. And so think about it this way. What if you had a group of bunch of friends who are all extremely negative, who are always complaining, who are always talking about what they don't like? They never say anything about what they like, what makes them happy, what they're grateful for. They're just negative Nancy's all the time. Now tell me, if you spent a bunch of time with those people, would you be a happier person? Would you be a person who actually values your life? Would you be a person who has hope? Would you be a person who thinks it to be important to actually invest in yourself and actually develop yourself as a person? Of course not. I mean, of course. So my point is, getting out of these negativity loops is probably one of the most important things and the most beneficial things for your mental health. I personally value my own happiness a lot more than knowing about a war that's going on in another continent. I don't think it's actually beneficial to my life to necessarily keep up with whatever's going on in Dubai and Iran because it's not my life. I don't live there. I don't have to think about it. Of course, I can know about it. That's why I'm even mentioning them because I know about them somehow. But I didn't watch a single YouTube video about them. All I did is I just overheard some things that were said on the news, which proportionally is very little exposure compared to if you were exposing yourself to these types of videos on the internet all of the time. So yeah, as crazy as it is to say, I don't actually want to expose myself to negative stuff 24/7. I know, it sounds crazy. I don't live under a rock. I do actually know most of the things that are going on in the world, but I don't bother with them that much because actually they're just bothering me more than I'm bothering with them, you know? So now we come to the section where I tell you what to actually do about it. I personally use YouTube, so my advice is only going to be catered to people who use YouTube. But I'm sure if you do enough research, you could actually find stuff for other platforms too. So for YouTube, I want to show you how I got rid of this type of content in my feed permanently. Like this is absolutely such a W to my life. So anyway, there's some YouTube extensions you can use, some like Google Chrome extensions if you're on laptop. One of them is called YT Block. Another one is YouTube Keyword Blocker, and another one is FilterTube. There's a bunch of these. Just choose whichever you want. I personally don't use any of them because I use Brave, but I don't really watch YouTube on my I don't really watch YouTube on my laptop, so you know. But on your phone, which you're probably watching on your phone, if you don't already have this, there is a certain version of YouTube, uh, which I cannot say the name of, but all I can say is that it ends with ANCED. Okay, you can find out the rest probably. And yeah, from there you just install that stuff, and you go into settings, and you go into keyword search and hide specific keywords. And then just write down a bunch of your keywords, and you're never gonna see them again. So yeah, thank me later. Genuinely though, I really hope this will help you get into a more positive mindset from now on and actually become a happy human, like everybody is actually supposed to be. But for some reason we aren't. God. Yeah. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day.